week I went and participated in a marketing kind of thing here in Nashville. I don't even know really why I'm into that or I do that part, but anyways, I went and saw this guy Chris Brogan, and really the only reason why I go see Chris Brogan is Chris is a sort of a Twitter celebrity, and I really like Twitter, and he's one of my friends or followers and on Twitter, and he's got a new book out called Trust Agents, and so I said oh, I'm going to pay the money, I'm going to get his book, and I'm going to get to go meet him and hear him and all that kind of stuff. Well, in the process of some of his talk, he talks about scenarios where friends of his were there in relationship with him, in relationship with other people, before they ever talked about their business. And the catchy phrase that he used, he's like, they were there before the sell. And it's great. I was like, he said that before the sell, and people, started writing.
Evangelism. Julian and I, after rereading the book several times, now that we've got it published, accidentally, it's like an ad for Greg Cangelosi. I mean, we mention him a lot. He's a fellow who runs an email marketing platform called Blue Sky Factory. And the reason we give Greg so much love is at my first ever event at PodCamp, Greg showed up and bought beers for folks. He was a sponsor. And we'd never run the event before. He had no idea what the ROI would be for the event. We didn't promise him nothing. And he essentially bought beers. He bought, everybody's stuff. He never once told anybody what he did for a business unless they really probed him. He was just Greg, just shaking hands, getting to know people. I knew Greg for a few years, didn't hardly know what he did. Just that he was always there. He was always with us. He was always at these events. I am a client of Greg's now. I use his email marketing platform for my own personal newsletter. I bought it for my company. I bought it for 3 other company clients of mine. Greg has more ROI on that beer than he knows what to do with because he never pushed anything. He did this thing that we call be there before the sale. This is a super important takeaway. I can't stress enough how important this is. Be there before the sale. There's a huge difference between getting to know somebody and then you have a business opportunity and starting by trying to give them something you want them to buy.
Thinking about that as how it relates to the church in my context and your context. And what bothers me is we do that. It's like, and some are more of a guilty of it than others. I'm not one who does the traditional understanding of evangelism, as far as like street preaching, going up to people, here's what you need to know Christ, and this is what it is, and trying to get that conversion, trying to sell Christ in a way, and people can spin that a couple of different ways to make that work for themselves. Is how I'm seeing it right now. And last summer, we had a bunch of up here in at our church. I hosted a little conference with my friend Jim Palmer, and we had folks who could be claimed as like non-religious or nominally religious folks, and they've been either beat up by the church, totally understand, put off by other Christians, can understand that. However, whatever their reasoning, whatever their place is, or they just really haven't found, from what they've heard, anything that makes sense to them that would convince them that they would want to have a relationship with Christ. Now, but some of them did, and some of them were talking about how church folks, neighbors of theirs, would become friends with them, and then they would invite them to their church. And then they would they would come to know Christ, and then they would, join the church. These processes work out differently, but what got to them, and it's kind of stuck with me, is that what they realized as these people came and joined the church, those people that invited them, those neighbors of theirs, stopped being their friends and stopped hanging out with them, stopped communicating with them, because for them, they had been taught those first members, they've been taught it's like you need to become friends with those who are not Christians so that you can help invite them to the church, So you can help invite them to become Christians, and then your job's done. And then we're going to teach them. And this is what they felt. It's like, and then they were taught that that's what they needed to do, was to go out and make new friends, bring them to church, get them to know, help them to know Christ, or help the church to know Christ. And that scenario is a be there before the sell kind of thing. And so I'm troubled with that in the sense that if you're going to be there before the sell, speaking in a commodity kind of economics format, if we're doing it for the gospel, then I have to think that we're not doing it for the sell, or that we're not really doing it for the sell. It's really we're doing it because we're convicted, because we want to be around people. And we want to be around people because Christ compels us to know others and to help them and be their neighbor, be their friend, so that when they have needs, when they have hurts, when they have joys, we can mourn with them, we can celebrate with them, we can work with them, we can help them. And so somewhere along the lines, the magic and the mystery of Christ sort of moves within us. The Holy Spirit moves within us, and Christ compels us in them, that there is a conversion experience. But you never start with the sell, or you never have that sell in mind. It's just because it's not yours to sell. Grace isn't something that we can sell or hold a value on. So, anyways, I love Chris Brogan. I love what I've been reading about his book so far. It's been really cool. If you're a marketing, businessy person, it's a good read right now. And if you want to, follow him on Twitter. The other thing I'd say though is, this is just where I'm at. I'm thinking about this, I'm pondering it. So I welcome comments. I welcome, your feedback. So, shalom.
You know this, you have this experience, but sometimes the pressures get put on us and we try to get a little salesy, a little first. Well, I have the grossest way to explain this. You will cringe, I promise. This to me is the equivalent of me reaching out to shake your hand and you putting your tongue in my mouth. We are at a relationship disconnect at this very moment, right? You get it though, right? That's exactly what it feels like to me if you're trying to sell me your dumb thing and I'm just meeting you. Hi, I do such and such. You're already up in my face and tell me what you're selling. I don't care what you're selling. I don't even know who you are. Do you even smell nice?